Hey, thanks for watching. This is a short little video about yet another favorite, one of my favorite Omega Seamaster Professionals. This is the 41mm full-size black bond, as they're called, in quartz. This is the last, one of the last versions of the Seamaster Pro that were in the original bond design, as they call it. Obviously, the original of those was blue, blue wave dial and blue bezel. It didn't have the red Seamaster like this one does, and nor were they offered in a black dial, black bezel as this watch is. After this watch, Omega stopped making the Seamaster Pro for in the men's line, at least in quartz, and they were only automatics after this point. And in addition, the watches started to change somewhat significantly after this watch. The bezels were ceramic. The model that followed this watch has the plain dial with no waves. It's thicker, has a screw pin bracelet. Also, the bracelet is less rounded, even though it does still have the bond style links. It's more squared at the ends. It makes it look and feel a little bit heavier. This watch is very special for me. I love the fact that it's quartz. I know a lot of people are not fans of quartz and kind of have this snobby attitude towards them, but in terms of functionality, I really don't think you can beat a quartz. It's so easy to take care of, requires only the occasional battery change, possibly a very occasional service, which is far less expensive than servicing a mechanical or automatic, and keeps really excellent time. When you look at it functionally, a quartz is definitely superior to an automatic. Yes, it may not have that feeling that you have a little micro machine on your hand, but you actually do. There are jewels in quartz movement, especially a high quality one such as this, and my opinion is just that they don't deserve to be bashed at all, but that's for each person to decide. Another nice point is that all the attention on automatics usually makes the quartz models a little less expensive to obtain, and like I said, with the lower servicing needs, much less expensive to own in the long run. So here is this watch. Really love this watch because it does have the classic look, but has features in common with the newer versions of the Seamaster. One of the ones that you can see on the video, but really becomes apparent, is or are the applied indices. You can see the hour markers are applied; those are not painted on the dial. And it was only this watch and its blue counterpart with the red Seamaster text on the dial that had that feature. Obviously, everything subsequent also has the applied indices, but the reason why I think it's special is that they really changed the look of the watch. Maybe not easy for me to capture here on camera, but in person, they really make the watch look like a substantially more expensive and luxurious timepiece. It's just something you have to see in person. Another improvement they made on these Seamasters as compared to the ones that preceded are that the minute and hour hands here are a little longer. I think it looks much better, particularly the hour hand on the models that preceded this was just way too short, almost really impaired its usability, if you ask me. And especially when you have, the bond style hands that are not solid like a sword hand, I think the fact that they made them longer here both not only makes it look better, but enhances the functionality. And as I said, this is the black version. Before this, they did not make the Seamaster Professional in black, other than the sword hand. I'm talking about the bond style here. And I know the blue is the original, but the black to me is actually the more versatile and the more timeless one. I feel it subdues some of the very early 90s styling that is apparent here, and kind of neutralizes it, for lack of a better word. Another great thing about this watch, it's super thin. All the Seamaster Pros of this era were thin, especially by today's standards, where everything seems to have been getting, you know, thicker and taller case height. But the quartz is even thinner than the automatic, and it really makes the watch wear super comfortable. It's quite thin, but not that thin that it's not noticeable. You still feel this watch on the wrist, and you know the bracelet is non-tapering, so 20 millimeters at the lug 20 at the clasp. This is a very worn one, so the diver extension unfortunately opens a little too easily, as just happened here. That's a common thing you get with the more well-worn versions of this watch. It's not the biggest deal. You can still wear the bracelet, but something to take note of. Another thing, actually, speaking of that, is the pins on these bracelets over time do get loose. This watch actually had that issue. I know many other people who've had that issue with these Seamasters. It's sort of part of the deal with this bracelet. It's really a comfortable bracelet. Maybe not the most modern looking, but and also has this pin sliding out tendency, but very, very nice to wear on the wrist. Here's a quick shot on the wrist. This is a very worn example. I know I'm sure we're going to get a comment about that. The bracelet has been a little over polished. I don't mind. I think it doesn't look too bad, but if you really want to be keep the watch as it was supposed to look new, most of this bracelet should be brushed with just those smallest middle links, the very narrow pieces polished. But like I said, I don't mind. I don't think it looks too bad, especially with the black dial and bezel. And it frankly is a lot of work to keep it up. So for the watch I wear, and I'm not too concerned about scratching, this works fine for me. Just a quick shot of the lume. This watch wasn't even outdoors, it was just near a window, and not even for very long. You can see it's got very bright lume, really beautiful color too. It's one last shot. Again, thanks for watching. If you've got any comments or questions about this watch, please feel free to leave them below. I'll try to respond to everyone.